Occupy Lexington is a group of individuals who gathered at this very spot on September 29, 2011, to stand in solidarity with Occupy Wall Street. We were among the first satellite occupations of a movement which now represents 1,300 cities and towns across the United States and around the world. We gathered here at noon, September 29th, 38 days ago, and we have not left. We are here to protest the disproportionate power of large corporations over our local, state, and federal governments. By pouring money into the political system, large corporations and wealthy individuals are able to speak to those in power with a louder voice than those in the middle class and the poor. None of us on this corner can afford to hire a lobbyist, but we can afford markers and signs, and we came here with the hope that by banding together, we could raise our voices loud enough to compete with the voices of the 1% of Americans who view government as a commodity to be bought and not a sacred space in which all have equal access in petitioning their leaders. Today, we are announcing our first official call to action. In 2011, the Commonwealth of Kentucky moved its bank accounts to J.P. Morgan Chase, a financial institution whose reckless and unethical business practices helped create the conditions in which the 2008 financial collapse occurred. While claiming too big to fail status in order to leverage federal bailout funds, J.P. Morgan Chase acquired Washington Mutual. By acquiring Washington Mutual, at the time the sixth largest bank in the U.S., J.P. Morgan Chase became a vastly larger financial institution that dwarfed even its previous too big to fail status. Most Americans realize that if an institution is too big to fail, it's just too big. Furthermore, if the institution recognizes in one statement that its concentration of market share in the financial industry is a liability to the general public, all the while making preparations to aggressively increase its market share by acquiring another large bank, it is reasonable to conclude that such an institution is no friend of the general public. J.P. Morgan Chase was a major player in the subprime loan scandal, issuing $30 billion in subprime loans. The bank also paid a $153.6 million settlement earlier this year to end an investigation by the Securities and Exchange Commission into a scandal involving collateralized debt obligations, or CDOs, another complex financial instrument that helped bring down the global economy in 2008. J.P. Morgan Chase behaved in a ruthless and predatory manner, along with a handful of other huge and equally unethical financial institutions. They brought down the global economy in a matter of weeks. In the aftermath, J.P. Morgan Chase has shown no remorse whatsoever for their role in the financial collapse or the mass layoffs and recession that followed. After taking bailout funds in the amount of $25 billion in order to remain solvent, J.P. Morgan Chase continued to pay enormous bonuses to top executives and even fought financial reform that would have put an end to the risky and unethical behavior that contributed to the financial collapse in the first place. After the bailout, they did not increase the availability of credit in any substantial way, one of the key goals of issuing the bailout funds in the first place. J.P. Morgan Chase is not an institution that represents the values of Kentuckians, nor is it an institution that can be trusted. Therefore, we, the General Assembly of Occupy Lexington, call on Todd Hollenbach to remove every last cent of taxpayer money from J.P. Morgan Chase and reinvest those funds in a financial institution which is headquartered in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. The value of the Commonwealth's General Fund in 2011 was $8.76 billion. Such an account would provide a major boost to a Kentucky financial institution, creating jobs right here in Kentucky, right now, in a high-paying sector of the economy. Banks lend idle funds. The idle funds in the Commonwealth's account would be used for lending by Kentucky banks and would represent a major boost to the availability of credit and investment in the state. This is a common sense proposal. There is no reason the taxpayers' money should be invested out of state, and especially with an institution like JP Morgan Chase, which has demonstrated time and time again that if given an opportunity to make a profit at the expense of the general public, it will not hesitate. Occupy Lexington is announcing a call to action to our state representatives, and specifically the Kentucky State Treasurer, to immediately begin preparations to move the Commonwealth's funds out of JP Morgan Chase and into a financial institution headquartered in Kentucky.
Yes.
This is a chance for Todd Hollenbach or his successor to invest in banks here, to create jobs here during this period of difficulty for so many of our fellow Kentuckians.